Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining me, Dr. Nikki. I appreciate your being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Angela, Dr. Angela. I'm also
Abs-
Dr. Nikki.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, as you know, Passioneer Magazine, the podcast, is all about our passion, about what we have been called to do, purposed to do with this lifetime of ours. Now, I cannot wait to talk to you about the all that you are doing, have done, and look forward to doing. But there may be some folks that are unfamiliar with you, that this is the first time they're hearing your name. So if you would please, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself? What makes you you?
Yes, my name is Dr. Nikki Starr, and I am what I call a multidimensional activator. And what that means is I work with people on the spiritual and practical planes, we can say mystical and practical, to support us in living our ultimate potential. And I feel that that's why I came to this planet, why I'm alive in this lifetime. And I was born into a lineage of Colombian shamans and healers, but I didn't realize that until after I graduated from medical school. So I have both of that practical training in Western medicine, but I also have in my DNA, in my bones, the shamanic, intuitive, psychic side that comes from my lineage. And what happened was while I was going through medical school, I couldn't get brainwashed by the system. I started feeling like this is not right. What they're dealing with, that suffering is a relational problem. Writing all these prescriptions is not going to cure them. And so I had to go through medical school to realize that my passion to serve and help people was founded much deeper than just what was on the physical body. It had to do what was in the energetic and the spiritual planes of who we are. And we as humans are multidimensional. And it's taken years of trainings of different kind, where first I was training more in the physical, like Western medicine, the mind, the body. And then I had my spiritual awakening. And then I was more traveling the world, visiting sacred sites, activating more of my intuitive capacities, which then helped me to understand more of our energetic and emotional fields and how all of that is interplaying, just as like our past lives and our future lives. And yeah, and so it's just been such a beautiful life journey that's been
Oh,
really
I love that.
changing all the time. And yeah, so it's been beautiful.
I love that. Now, I was going to ask you, did you have that moment? How did you transition from one to the other? But I want to ask it slightly differently, since you mentioned that it happened in medical school. I find that many times along our life's journey, we have been given clues, hints, foretellings, foreshadowings of what we're going to do as an adult. Did you find at any time in your childhood, young adult time frame that you had a little bit of that foreshadowing? Flip side of the coin, how was the transition from, oh my heavens, I'm in medical school, but this is not the way that I want to go?
So as a child and since I was young, I feel like people always came to me and told me their problems. They always felt like I was a safe space. People would come and tell me the thing that they never told anyone else in their whole life. And so it was already happening. And growing up in New York City, I thought the only way to help people was to become a doctor. So it kind of seemed like the obvious path. Like I really loved people and wanted to help them and was fascinated by human beings. And so I just loved medicine. I loved everything about it. And I was a psychology major in college. So it was like all preparation for what I do now anyway. And then what actually was the aha moments was when I took myself out of New York City, out of that rigorous training, and I started to travel the world in medical school. And I had these moments of like, wow, like transcendental experiences when I was scuba diving under the water, when I was skydiving out of planes. And I was just like, maybe there's more to life than just being in the hospital and writing prescriptions. Maybe it's really about happiness, like beyond health. Like, what's the space beyond health? And
Ooh,
that's
I
when I
love that.
started thinking about ultimate potential and how many people are just like trying not to be sick, and living in this just enough space. Whereas I realized, wow, like we have like so much more to live and so much more potential. And New York is not the center of the world. And those moments of travel and having these oneness experiences in nature and other countries really opened my eyes. And that was the first time I started questioning my path as a doctor. And then I had a divine intervention happen where, when it was my moment for residency, I did my first year of residency at NYU. And then usually after your first year of residency, you specialize. And when it was time for the match for the specialty, I was going to go into dermatology, which is the most competitive. And I interviewed at 7 places. I had a pretty good opportunity to match. And the way the system works is you interview, they rank their students, everyone ranks the order they want, and then the computer matches you. And when it was match day, I didn't match. And one of the places I interviewed had an open spot. And so it was like, how does that even happen? Like, I should have just matched there. And what that did was, it was like the divine intervention that allowed me to depart from Western medicine. Because if I had matched, I would have been in a contract. And the most crucial moments of my spiritual awakening, where I really changed my whole life and my whole identity started to shift, was in those 4 years after my intern year of residency. And so it was like, thank you. Like, I was upset. But now looking back, I was like, hallelujah. Like, thank goodness.
Oh, absolutely. And I remind people that so many times we have these divine interventions, we have these modern day miracles that happen around us. We're just not used to seeing them for what they are. We're expecting for it to always be the waters parting, something major in our lives, not realizing that sometimes it is the no or the yes, it is the red light or the green light that is happening in our lives that makes such a big difference in the trajectory. So I love that. Now, when it comes to using your education and your training, you have all of that, under your belt. That's a part of who you are as well. How do you utilize that, or do you utilize that in any way when it comes to your client base for spiritual healing? And I know some folks are going, first of all, you're talking about spiritual healing. I didn't even know that was a thing. But is there any correlation between the two, or is this a new understanding? Should we understand that differently?
There is a correlation. So essentially, in medical school, it's like they took out that whole other aspect of the human. They took out the energetic fields. They said, okay, we're mind and body, but we are also energy. We have a spirit. And the way, as I went on to study more spiritual healing and energy healing, I got to understand that our future is in our aura, in our energy field. And then over time, it comes into the physical if it's not taken care of when it's in our aura. So true preventative medicine is actually energy healing. So just like we brush our teeth, we need to take care of our energy. And when you don't take care of your energy, over time, aches and pains and energy blockages happen that then cause the physical manifestation of, like, a shoulder problem that you think you need surgery for, but really it could just be a trapped emotion, another person's energy, a spirit's energy. And so what happens is most people are going to the doctor with physical problems, but it originated in their energy field first. And things like relational problems and things like this over time, and just like trapped emotions, if you have anger and you don't express it, over time, it does get lodged in the body and create disease.
Absolutely. And I find that many times when we tell people that, they don't understand it. They cannot grasp that concept until you remind them, hey, when you're stressed out, how do you feel? When you feel pressed up against that wall for whatever reason, how do you feel? Exactly. Emotion manifesting in the body. And then oh, oh my God, I had no idea. That's why it's important to go on that walk, to take that detox time, to step away from the all that is going on in your life, to give your body a break. I love how you explain that and you make that a part of your practice. Now, when we look at everything that's going on in the lives of the women that are around us, we have over the past few years been told this is the year of the woman. Women are really kind of coming into their own. Not that we are discounting the fellas in our lives, we love them too, but women are just starting to discover themselves and really see the power of who they are. How are you able to help the women that come to you become their best self?
Well, I think one of the first things that really has been transformational for women who come into my women's program is I start to remind women that we are cyclical beings and we have a cycle like the moon, literally like the moon in the sky. We have one too, and that we are four different women every month. And that when we start to track our menstrual cycle, even if some women have already gone through menopause, you can still track the weeks and you use the moon to do that. Generally speaking, the new moon, when it's dark, is when the bleeding time is. And then when the moon is full, it's when ovulation time is. And we see that also, it's like when you're ovulating, you have more energy or more of a creative cycle. That's why when we know when the full moon is strong, we tend to have a lot of energy. It's hard to sleep. But then when it's the dark moon, the new moon, we tend to want to go more inward and relax more. And unfortunately, we were raised in a culture that believed you have to be on every single day. And if you're not, there's something wrong with you. And what most women have found is what they equated to being hard on themselves when they were tired or didn't have a lot of energy, it was the week before their bleed. And so, by just understanding that you're cyclical and that every day and every week your mood is not the same, but you learn to leverage when your ovulation time is and when your bleed time is. So then you don't schedule so much around when you're going to have your period. So then you can really shine when you are ovulating. And so, this is a way that you can use your energy and your mood to your advantage. So maybe if there is a time that you want to plan like a spa day and be more inward, that would be great in the week before you bleed. But if you have interviews like or you want to launch a program or depending what kind of work you do, you need to give a presentation. If you can be in charge of when to program it, you do it in the week that you're ovulating. And then I feel like it gives women so much permission. And when you do choose to take that time off, which is so important, then that's when you have an easier bleed. Also, you have less pain. And because most women are overworking, overdoing it. And as women, we're really meant to be receivers and we're meant to receive life and respond. Whereas instead of being like on, making things happen, getting burnt out, and this kind of shift to allowing things to come to you versus like making things happen is also a shift in understanding feminine energetics and how to operate in the world in a way with more ease and grace.
Oh, I love that. And I do wish that we were taught that was expressed more. Cuz boy, would it make everyone's life easier. Not only us as women, but those that are around us, they would have a better understanding of what we are feeling, what we are going through. If nothing else, what a nugget of wisdom that you have just given us. I already know some women are going, "Oh my goodness, that's it. That's the secret that I have been waiting for all of my life." And you are so right. When we are in tune with our bodies tell us so much. If only we would just listen. We have the instructions right there. I love that bit of wisdom. Now, as your influence has grown and your popularity has grown, because you are doing great and amazing things, not just here in the States, but around the world, how do you make sure that your energy stays optimal, that you are not experiencing burnout? How do you stay motivated personally?
So I always choose to live by the sea because nature really does recharge us. And even in the winter months, so I actually currently live in Ibiza in Spain. It's an island off of Spain. And I was living in Malibu before moving here. And even in the winter, I would swim. I would swim in Malibu in the freezing cold Pacific Ocean in the winter because I know that it would really rejuvenate and revive my energy and also clear off energies that were not mine, that were weighing me down, like we talked about earlier, that energy hygiene. So here, when I lived in Malibu, I really honored sunset every day and I went for a sunset beach work. Whereas here, I honor sunrise more. I see the sunrise from my window every morning and I go for a walk in nature. I swim in the sea. I also go to the gym pretty much every day, except for when I'm bleeding or right before, if I know I'm feeling a bit sluggish or I just take it easy. And also meditating. If I meditate 20 minutes a day, and even if it's not like a true proper kind of meditation, what I mean by proper is like I'm not following some kind of script or doing some kind of thing, but I just sit in silence with myself and I hold space with myself. I receive so much clarity and insight. So it's like my actions come from such a strong, inspired space that I can't wait to do them. Like it's like they're overflowing out of me. I find that burnout happens when we're like forcing things and pushing things
Yes.
versus like when the post comes, it's like you hear it in your ear. It's like you can't help but share it. It's like the idea comes and then you execute. The idea comes and you execute versus when you're trying so hard, that creates burnout. So whatever can inspire you and bring you into that calm, listening, restful space, whether it's time in nature, meditating, whatever it is for you, everyone could be different. Then you can really listen and then you receive the divine download and then you send it out into the world.
Yeah. Oh, that is so important of understanding who you are. I tell people all the time, listen, I'm a beach baby. I am much like you. I have got to be near the water. The further away I get from a body of water, the worse I literally start to feel. I am a fish out of water if you take me too far inland. So you are onto something there. And when I discovered that about myself, I had a conversation with my mom, and I found that though she enjoyed the beach, it was not truly her cup of tea. She's a fire person. So I started lighting candles at night for her. And let me tell you, the difference just in her mood when she would see that it was time, because I would, have my long matchsticks, and I would go and light the candle. Her whole mood, she's like, oh, yes, it's time. And just to see the glow, so to speak, in her eyes when she saw that fire, it's like she warmed up, because that's my element. I've been waiting all day for her to come and light these candles. And it really and truly, whatever really does it for you and brings you into that happy space, you have to do it. But it is nice to meet you, my fellow water lover. It really and truly does make a difference. I love that. Now, one other aspect of who you are is that you are an author. Congratulations on your book success, of course. Now, you have written a book called Raw Naked Truths. Tell us about this book.
So it is a short and sweet, more of a poetic read that really lifts our spirits. It's just 33 pages, and it was written in that space that I'm telling you about, that space where I was literally naked in nature. That's why I called it Raw Naked Truths. And every chapter it touches upon love and life and spirituality. And there are these reminders, they're like these universal truths connected to spiritual virtue that when you read, it's like a sob for the soul. It just reminds you, like, oh, yeah, it like connects you back into peace, into trust, into faith, into truth. And it's medicine in and of itself, but more from that, when you read Rumi or poetry, how it softens you. It's similar to that. And it's just a feel good read, quick and easy, but it feels so good.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And we've got to start doing things that make us feel good about who we are, about this life that we are living, so we can kind of live more in that attitude of gratitude and that thankfulness, as opposed to all this stress and strain that we try to push through, like you said. I love that outlook. Dr. Nikki, thank you so much for spending time with me here on Passioneer Magazine, the podcast. I have truly enjoyed spending time with you today. Now, we know that your book is available on Amazon or wherever books are sold, but if someone wants to reach out to you, how can they do that?
So I usually hang out on Instagram at Dr. Nikki Starr, DrNikkistarr. So I post in my grid every day. I'm in my stories every day. And you can also go to my website at drnikkistarr.com. And there you can find all of my offerings, my healings, my courses, all the different things if you want to go into a deeper dive.
I love it. Thank you again for being a guest on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.